Applications of inequalities. Your EQ today is how do I write and solve inequalities from word problems. The thing about writing inequalities is that it's really just like writing an equation, except you're not going to put an equal sign in it, you're going to use an inequality instead. When you do this, I want you to look for all the key words inside the problem. Let's read this first example. Janet had scores of 75, 64, 83, 91, and 95 on 5 tests. What does her score have to be on the 6th test to have an average score of at least 80? The at least 80 is your key right down there. They didn't say a total of, which would have been an equal sign. They said at least, which suggests that it could be an 80, or it could be an 81, or an 82, or she'd be happy with anything above that. That's the key right there. That tells me I'm going to use an inequality. Other important information is up here. And this word right here is pretty important as well. Reminds me of having to add up all of the individual units and then divide by that number to get the average. So let's set this one up. What you'll notice I did is I added up all of the 5 test scores that I knew, plus this last test score, which I don't know just yet. That's the unknown quantity, so I called it X. I divided by 6 because there were 6 test scores being added together. That's how you find an average. 80 goes on the other side because I know that's where Janet is shooting for. And there's a box in the middle because I don't know if I should put a greater than or a less than sign right there. I have to ask myself a question first. So think about the information that you have over here on the left. Is it okay for that test average, okay? Is it okay for all of this to add up and equal out to exactly 80? Would she be happy with a score of 80? The answer is yes. She wants at least an 80. Then ask yourself, would it be okay if all of this information turned out to be greater than 80? Would she be okay with an 81 as her average, or a 90, or a 97? Of course she would. So we would say that all the information on the left has to be greater than or equal to the 80. Now I can just solve the inequality to figure out the answer to my question, which is, what score does she have to have? So all I did was multiply by 6 on both sides to clear out the fraction. Now I'm going to move the 408 to the other side by doing the opposite. And I discovered that Janet needs to score at least a 72 on her 6th test in order to get that average of the 80 or better that she wants. Let's try another one. An empty book crate weighs 30 pounds. What is the greatest number of books weighing 1.5 pounds each that can be packed into the crate so that the crate can weigh no more than 60 pounds? Again, my key word is no more than 60 pounds. That tells me I'm going to need an inequality. So I know that I have a 30-pound crate, and I'm going to pack in 1.5-pound books, but I don't know how many. They're 1.5 pounds each. That total weight can be no more than 60 pounds. So I ask myself that question, can the total weight over here be exactly 60 pounds? Yes, it can, because the question itself says no more than 60 pounds. That suggests that 60 itself is fine. So ask yourself again, can this weigh more than 60 pounds? No, because it tells me right there, no more than. That one's kind of obvious. Now I'm just going to solve the inequality. This tells me that I can pack no more than 20 books into my box. Turn to page 2 and let's try a couple more. The League of Really Naughty People, LRNP, is trying to create an invisibility spray so they can rob Fort Knox and spend the rest of their lives sipping Coke Zero on the beach. The LRNP has determined that the more you drink, the more invisible you become. However, if a person ingests 45 milliliters of the formula, they're going to become permanently invisible. If a naughty person has already ingested 22 milliliters, how much more is safe to drink? This one's a little more ambiguous, but I can probably tell from right here that that's an inequality. I know the person's already ingested 22, and they can go up to 45 before they're in trouble. So to write my inequality, I know that we've started with 22 milliliters. It's already in this person's body. They can drink some amount more, but it can't get all the way up to 45. When I talk myself through it, that helps me realize that this amount over here, the total amount the person ingests, cannot be exactly equal to 45. That's the moment when they turn permanently invisible. So I'm not going to put the equal to bar for my inequality. They can't have 45. So ask yourself the next question. Can the total amount they drink be more than 45? No, it can't, because then they'll be permanently invisible. Now solve your inequality. So the naughty person has to drink less than 23 milliliters to keep from turning permanently invisible. The last one takes you back to your middle school years. You have to think a little bit about area. The width of a rectangle is 33 centimeters. The area is at least 396 square centimeters. That should be on your notes. You might want to add it right now. So if the width is 33, and I have an area of at least 396, I'm going to start by drawing a picture. One thing you might want to remember is that the area of a rectangle is length times width. You have to have that piece of information to be able to move on. So the area that they've given me is 396, and I know that 33 times my unknown length would give me this approximate area. So I have to ask myself, can this total area be exactly 396? Would that be okay? The answer is yes, because right here they tell me it has to be at least 396. 396 would be good, and so can this area, when I get done doing the math, can it be more than 396? Yes, it can. 396 or more would be fine. Now you can solve your inequality. Solving the inequality tells me that the length of my rectangle can be 12 centimeters or more, and that would give me an area of at least 396. Now let's run back to page 1, and I'm going to help you write the first couple of questions. I'm going to leave you to write the last two and the summary.